And welcome to the Marcus and Mike Show. I am Mike. The man over here to my left, this way, is Marcus. What's up, man? How's it going today?
Hey, pretty good. What's going on, Michael?
It would be better if my Royals would have beat your Astros more than once. They had a little series a couple days ago. We lost to the Astros 6-4. Then we come back and whoop that ass 12-2, and you guys come back and whoop our ass 9-0. We Royals go into a game tonight with the Phillies. I wish I was at home able to watch this game, but I'm not. I'm stuck here in beautiful Indiana. Quotes right there. Beautiful Indiana. But
please beat the Phillies.
What's that?
Please beat the Phillies.
Yeah, definitely. Any chance that the team at the bottom can beat a team at the top, I'm all for it, man. Like Royals are struggling down there at the bottom, and quite frankly, it's a tad sad. But so you got a fun fact?
Yeah, no. Y'all had a couple of y'all that one game. I think y'all had two. It was amazing. That's baseball today for you. I think you had two grand slams that game, which is amazing. I think one was in the second and third. The other one was in the seventh. I was like, the Royals had one grand slam, then they came back at another grand slam. I was like, wow.
Yeah, it was. The Royals have been so up and down, because we scored 15 runs versus the Detroit Tigers, beat them 15-2, and then come back and lose a game 1-0 the next night. It's just crazy how baseball changes from day to day to day. It's actually really, really impressive. Actually, once you break it down.
It's amazing. I was watching the Rangers Astros game last night, and the Astros beat the Texas Rangers 4-2. And they gave an interesting stat out. If this does not tell you about today's baseball, which is absolutely it's amazing, nothing will. Joey Gallo, the outfielder for the Texas Rangers, has 100 home runs, right, to his career, and he only has 93 singles for his career.
Wow!
So he's got 7 more home runs than he does singles.
That's crazy.
So that he is the first major league player in the history of Major League Baseball to get to the 100 home run plateau, but only have 93 singles. So he has more home runs than singles, which is no player in the history of pro baseball has ever done that. So that's just an amazing stat to me.
That is the definition of go big or go home right there.
I mean, when Mark Aguirre and all these great players, they've got to 100 home runs. They've had more than 100 singles already. Ken Griffey. Right. I mean, you can just name them. I mean, they'll have a bunch of singles way more singles than they'll have home runs by the time they get to 100 home runs. It's just amazing. He did it in 377 games, which is top 5 all time as well. So Joey Gallo for the Texas Rangers is a feast or famine home run hitter. I mean, he's going to hit the home run or he's pretty much going to strike out. To only have 93 singles in your career and have more home runs in your career than singles when you get to the 100 home run mark is simply incredible. And that's today's baseball for you. The pitchers are throwing harder now.
Yeah.
There's more Tommy John surgeries. They're just using up more pitchers. It's about roaring back and getting to 98, 99, 100 miles per hour. That's where baseball's changed a little bit.
It is crazy that you just brought up Tommy John surgery.
No further evidence than Joey Gallo.
Yeah, it is crazy that you just brought up Tommy John's surgery here because I coach football at the high school team here, and we have a couple players on our football team that play baseball as well. And they had 3 players this year go with Tommy John surgery, and they're sophomores. So you're 14, 15 year old in high school, you're getting Tommy John surgery. That's crazy to me. But since we're on the injury thing here, Kevin Durant has been diagnosed with that strained calf, like we were talking about yesterday. You said a grade 1 was 7 to 10 days, and I believe that's exactly where they're at. He has been ruled out for the rest of the series here. So I just want to give you guys a little bit of that news before we get too carried away into the basketball talk for today. So Marcus nailed that right on the head. 7 to 10 days. If you were his agent, his dad's uncle, etc., you would tell him to shut it down. and that's exactly what they're doing. Is they're shutting it down for the time being, at least for the rest of the series, like at least. So
yeah,
putting that out
he
there.
might even, depending upon how Kevin Durant feels, he might even miss Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. So, but that's about all he'll miss. I think he'll miss Game 1, and then he'll probably be back for Game 2 at Oracle Arena.
Yeah, he definitely needs to be 100% going forward if they want to win the finals for sure. Speaking of winning finals here, we had a couple Game 6s last night. The first one that hits the book was Philly and Toronto. Philly beat Toronto 112-101. Kawhi Leonard had 29 points, and Jimmy Butler had 25 to lead the way respectively for their teams. What are your thoughts on this game? And just a little bit of insights as usual.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Butler, I guess that was played like the Chicago Bulls days. I mean, he was like Kawhi Leonard. He stole the ball from him one time.
Yeah.
That was old Jimmy Butler. When Jimmy Butler plays like that, and pretty much matches Kawhi Leonard, there's no way the Sixers lose. I mean, what happened last night, also, we'll talk about it too, with Portland-Denver series. You had two desperate teams last night in Philadelphia and Portland playing at home, and they didn't want to go out like that. I knew that Portland and Philadelphia were going to win last night. They get too much pride, man. You've been hearing for 40 hours that you're no good. We're going to trade Ben Simmons. We're going to get rid of – how good is Joel Embiid? Is he ever going to be anything? Or we might even trade him and get assets. Those are all the questions that you hear.
Yeah.
Tobias Harris, you suck. Jimmy Butler, you're overrated. JJ Redick, you're not good either. You hear all that stuff for about 37, 40 hours, however it was in between games. And so pride takes over, and then pride turns into that. Your talent takes over. And that's what happened last night. And Philadelphia came out, and they won the game. Let me say this about Philadelphia. With Durant out, let me make myself very clear. With Durant out, Philadelphia actually has the best starting five in the NBA. Now, what does that mean? Well, absolutely nothing if they lose Game 7 in Toronto on Sunday. But they do it in terms of players, in terms of like who a coach would want to coach, like a starting five. When you have Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris and JJ Redick and Ben Simmons, you've got a starting five out this world. So I mean, they have the talent. To get it done versus anybody. And you saw Ben Simmons last night. I mean, man, he did the things that Magic Johnson would have done. I mean, he didn't. Yes, he doesn't have a jump shot, but man, he was driving to the goal. He was getting people involved. Ben Simmons last night played like it was a track meet, and that's what Ben Simmons has to do to be effective. And it worked last night. Toronto kind of like was a little, don't get it wrong. Toronto tried last night, but you could tell the more desperate team just watching that game last night. You can tell the one team that knew they had Game 7 in their back pocket. And so it's funny. I predicted all Game 7s, and it's going to happen except for the Celtics ruined that prediction for me. So we'll end up because we knew the second round. We had been talking about the second round for a couple of months now.
Right.
And in both conferences. And we were figuring, man, these second rounds, they're all going to go 7. And it looks like we're going to be 75% right. I mean, all three out of these 4 series in the second round, 3 of them are going to go to Game 7, and except for the sorry ass Celtics, they ruined that prediction. But those quitters. But I mean, Milwaukee helped them quit. But those quitters ruined our prediction. But yeah, it looks like we're going to have 3 Game 7s on Sunday, which is remarkable.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up.
I wish one of them was Saturday. I mean, you know what I mean? I wish Toronto should be on Saturday because since they played today, or Portland, or one of them. But I think they're all going to be on Sunday, which is wow.
Yeah, just to your moving forward, foreshadowing here. There are three games scheduled for Sunday, all Game 7. Obviously, if the Warriors lose to the Rockets, which we'll get that to later in the show here. Really excited about that game, actually. But I really want to touch on what you said there. Jimmy Butler of old. Jimmy Butler did look great last night. He looked what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe re-energize, maybe find a little bit of passion in his body again.
Yeah.
But with that being said, they exerted so much emotional energy last night to pull out that game. They don't have a chance in Game 7. They got to fly cross country, play Toronto in Canada in their home court. I think they're wore out. I think they're done. Uh, Simmons did have 21 points last night as well. The only thing Philadelphia did not do well last night is JJ Redick was kind of MIA again. He only had 11 points. You were calling for 20 plus points if I'm not mistaken, 5 or 6 threes. He's been kind of a non-factor this playoff series, and I'm not for sure if it's just because he's not getting in a groove, if the team's not relying on him as much. But with this being his contract year, he definitely needs to start to step up and show his worth. Like, hey,
yeah. I tell you what, Michael, they're going to need him Game 7.
Yeah, if they have a chance, he has to step up and play.
He better wake up Game 7. Listen, I think Toronto's going to win this series. I think Toronto wins on Sunday, but I give the 76ers a puncher's chance because of the starting five I'm talking about. When you put those 5 players on the court, the 76ers, there is nobody that has more talent than them except the Warriors. Except the Warriors, if they were about to go play a street ball game right now and go to 15 by ones, and you picked a team to Philadelphia, I think would beat every team in the NBA 5-on-5. They're that talented a group. I give them a puncher's chance, but I don't think for what you said, I think they expended a lot of emotion. They got to go to Toronto. I think Toronto gets the game on Sunday. But Toronto's not this juggernaut, Michael, where they have this past history of Toronto will close out Game 7.
You're right.
So Toronto worries me a little bit too. Although Toronto, I think, is 2-2 with DeMar DeRozan in Game 7, so they have had a little bit of success, Toronto, in Game 7s over the past 6 years. But they're not like a juggernaut where we just say it's an automatic Toronto win. But they did get Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, and those guys know how to win.
You're right.
They're like the San Antonio Raptors. You know what I mean? That's the San Antonio connection. They've been in big games before to Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard. So I would hang my hat on. Yeah. I would hang my hat on Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard with their experience and them knowing how to play and getting their teammates ready. Because Nick Nurse hasn't been in those positions either. So I think Nick Nurse has to lean on Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard on their past experiences getting these players ready to play Philadelphia. Because Philadelphia will come out hungry, but it'll end up subsiding. I think Toronto wins. I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to be fun to watch. Yeah, but I think Toronto wins Game 7 though.
I think this will be the most exciting Game 7 to watch, hands down. Just adding to your fact of Game 7 there, I don't think. You can have the best Game 7 history. You can be 10-0 in Game 7s in the last 25 years, but it's still Game 7. Just like what you said last week or 2 weeks ago. Anything can happen in Game 7, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Philly came out and just put a thumping on Toronto. But I don't see that happening. I'm taking Toronto as well in Game 7. Me
too. Yeah.
What's the word? I think it's just their faith, their destiny this season. It is. We are destined to see a Toronto Golden State championship. And it's going to be really fun to watch, in the end, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. We'll see with the Kevin Durant injury. Houston has a good opportunity there to foil that. I would have totally agree with you before the Durant injury, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, there was one other game last night. You had your Denver Nuggets taking on Portland Trail Blazers. Portland came up, beat them by 9, 119-108, forcing a Game 7. As we were talking, 3 possible Game 7s on Sunday night. This is the second one. This would be the 7 o'clock one, if I'm not mistaken, be the later start time. Your thoughts on last night games?
Man, that game, in my opinion, was called Rodney Hood. Because Lillard and McCollum showed up just like you thought they would, and Jamal Murray, on the other hand, he had a decent floor game, but he didn't shoot the ball very well. And I need more from Gary Harris. But Jokic was his usual great self. Maybe he could have been better at some spots, but Jokic came to ball. That guy was the best. That guy is the best player in this series, and Damian Lillard I have second best player in this series, and because Damian Lillard has kind of like a couple of games disappeared, Jokic hasn't disappeared yet. But Damian Lillard came to play. C.J. McCollum came to play. But man, when you get Rodney Hood going like that, I'm sure Denver didn't account for that. And what I mean by that is, you have to plan for everything. Great leaders plan for everything. Great players plan for everything. So they knew Rodney Hood's capable of going off like that, but not to the extent of like 25 points or whatever he had. I mean, I was thinking Rodney Hood, maybe you account for him for maybe 13 points, 14 points. That's okay. But when you let Rodney Hood, or not necessarily like they let him, but when you see Rodney Hood go for 25 to be that third scorer, that's hard to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, the only way Denver had a shot at that last night is if Gary Harris would have been the third scorer like he normally is and match Rodney Hood with 25. Then this game would have probably went in overtime or something. But yeah, that just like I said with Philadelphia, Portland was at home. They were the more desperate team. Denver came to play a little bit better than Toronto did. But the more desperate team, when the talent is almost even, the more desperate team at home is going to win 90% of the time, and that's 99% of the time, and that's exactly what happened. Portland did what they had to do. They took care of business Game 6. I knew that was going to happen, and now we've got a Game 7 on Sunday, Portland at Denver, and these are really two evenly matched teams. I give the edge to Denver in that altitude because I think Portland will kind of wilt away in that altitude by the third quarter. It's really hard playing Denver in that altitude, and then when you have to play Denver in a 7-game series and they have home court advantage, that's almost impossible to beat, to be honest. I mean, I see Denver. I see the Philadelphia 76ers and the Toronto Game 7 in Toronto going down to the wire. I see Denver blowing out Portland in Game 7. San Antonio came to ball that Game 7 last series and almost they could have won the game. DeMar DeRozan missed a couple of shots down the stretch, and Jamal Murray made a floater from about 16, 17 feet off one leg, and then it was a swish. Had Jamal Murray missed that in the Spurs series Game 7, Spurs would have had a chance to win that game. But Murray didn't miss, and so I don't even think that Portland's going to come to play like San Antonio did in the fourth quarter. I think Portland will wilt away in that altitude, and I see Denver winning this thing like 110-95. This is the blowout I see in the Game 7s out of the three that we're going to have.
Yeah, and I'm on the total opposite side of that. I think the Portland win last night built their confidence going into Game 7, into the Mile High City, and then they're going to lay the wood to Denver on Sunday afternoon or Sunday night with Hood coming off the bench, scoring 25 points in 30 minutes of game time. That's got to boost his confidence as well. Looking at the box score here, the whole Denver Nugget bench had 13 points off the bench. Rodney Hood got that plus 10. So when one player off of your bench is beating the whole other team's bench, that cancels each other out, and you still have 3 or 4 more players that are going to score points off the bench as well. I really like what Rodney Hood did last night, and that really boosted my confidence in the pick in Portland Trailblazers in this Game 7 pick. I want to hit on Jamal Murray. We have he has been silently really solid this playoff series. The Jokic has kind of overshadowed him a little bit. Yeah. When you're scoring 24, 25, 26 points night in and like night out, he had 10 rebounds as well with 5 assists. That is a solid box score that he has there, and he is doing that consistently this series. I've been bragging on this Denver team from very first game versus San Antonio, how they keep growing. I think they finally hit that wall where they can no longer grow anymore this season. They have to learn how to lose before they can learn how to win. And they're going to lose this Game 7, but next year that they're going to be that much better after this loss.
Yeah, no, I mean that's all possible. I mean, Portland has the more experience over Denver. That's no denying that. I mean, Lillard and them, I know even they haven't been in a Game 7, they've been in more playoff games than Denver, obviously, throughout their history, Lillard and McCollum. But I just see Denver winning in this altitude. And Rodney Hood, the Spurs, let me go on another little thing here. The Spurs have a $9 million cap exception. I'm telling you right now, Rodney Hood to the Spurs, get him signed up, Pop. That $9 million exception. I'd go after Rodney Hood if I was the Spurs.
Basically, what Marcus wants to happen, he wants every big name to come to San Antonio for about $1,000 a game. Hey, we'll give you all a little bit of piece of the pie. I mean, we won't sign you max contracts, but we're going to have a USA Olympic style team here with the Olympic coach. So guys, come on down to San Antonio.
Yeah,
Antonio, we'll love you all the same.
Hey,
anybody but Kawhi, right?
Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. Yeah, just sign for the league minimum. We'll do you solid here.
Do you think a team like that would coexist for 3 or 4 years, or would it be like a 1 year and done?
No, I don't even think they'd coexist for 1 year. I think Pop would pull the rest of his white hair out. Yeah, it would be bad.
Wouldn't that be something like you see Pop with the shaved head on the sideline?
Yeah, because he can't. It's funny is Pop's they can coexist. They'll coexist for one summer.
Yeah,
because Pop will get them.
Yeah,
that's what's amazing to watch about the Olympic team is because you're gonna see guys like last Olympic team. You're gonna see guys like James Harden. I remember watching the Olympics and James Harden and Russell Westbrook are on the bench.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's amazing to watch because you're picking our top 12 guys to go, in the Olympics. And, you're going to have superstars that are getting 25 shots a night, not even getting last minutes of games. It's amazing to watch. Yeah. So they can coexist for about a couple of months and win a gold medal, but they couldn't coexist in the whole NBA season. You're right.
It would just be fun to watch, if everybody would hate that team, or they're like, oh, my favorite player plays for that team, so I'm going to go and root for them. I'll just be curious of how that actually would pan out, because let's face it, 85% of Americans hate Golden State. Either you love them or you hate them. There's no, oh, I can stand them. No, either you love them or you hate them. And all right, guys, welcome back to the Marcus and Mike Show. Like I said, I am Mike at mbuck41 on the Twitter machine. Man over here to my left is Marcus at Marcus the Freak on the Twitter machine as well. If you guys are not following us on Twitter, do so. It'll be fun to watch. I post some rants every now and then. Marcus posts some sports stuff. And just, it's fun to interact with you guys from time to time. I like as well. As you see below here, you can see all that. Follow us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Speaker Breaker, Castbox, etc. All the fun stuff, all the podcast formats. We are out there and we are loving life over there. So before the break here, Marcus, we had a little technical difficulties, but we'll figure that out. And we got it figured out because I am IT God. Let's be honest here in the end. But speaking of gods, KD did get hurt. Wednesday night, was it? Yeah, Wednesday night. He he got hurt. He suffered a calf strain. They didn't give me a grade 1, grade 2, or grade 3, but he will miss the remainder of the Houston series, which is only 3 days. So just like what Marcus alluded to earlier in the show here, he will probably miss game 1 if they make it to the Western Conference Finals. But tonight is game 6 in Houston. Houston is a 60% favorite in this game, 60% chance to win with the 7-point favorites. I like as well. So who do you got winning this one tonight?
I got Houston winning, and it should be – I hate to say this even about the Warriors, but Houston should be so hungry, just like Portland was, just like Philly was, at home, to not let in front of their home folks not go out like that.
Right.
Houston should win this thing by 10, 15 going away. And that's that's a tough thing to say because look, Golden State's Golden State. They lose Kevin Durant, but they still have Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry, and Draymond Green, and Andre Iguodala, who was a Finals MVP in 2015. Yeah, they're a little older, but as soon as KD went out, it was kind of fun to watch Golden State a little bit. It was like the Golden State that was a regular great team and not the super team when Kevin Durant showed up and made the whole thing unfair. there was a little bit more motion in their offense. Draymond Green became a little bit more intricate and more alive with what he does. He's the facilitator more so than Stephen Curry is. Stephen Curry lives a lavish life of almost being like a point guard, two guard, combo guard. He doesn't have to get everybody involved all the time. That's Draymond Green's job to do. And listen, Draymond Green relished that situation when KD went out. I mean, he's called Kate. This is why Kevin Durant's leaving, by the way. He's actually yelled at Kevin Durant, "We've won without you," and he's called him a punk. Think about that for a second. You know Kevin Durant's psyche, right?
Yep.
You know that he can't even take eighth graders, Michael. He can't even take eighth graders getting mad at him online, right? So you mean to tell me he's gonna sit back and let Draymond Green, hey, we won without you, and you're a punk? He's gone. So I think the Warriors know that already. So this is a big deal tonight and for the next couple of games. The big game is on Sunday. I think it's a slam dunk. Houston wins tonight. Because let me tell you something. If they don't, that would be absolutely terrible for the Houston Rockets, Daryl Morey, and that organization. If they could not beat Kevin Durant and the Houston Rockets tonight at home, without beat the Golden State Warriors without Kevin Durant at home, that would be monumental, terrible. That's like almost riot situation. Chris Paul has to be so much better than 3 of 14. I mean, this guy needs to wake up. James Harden needs to be James Harden. And Eric Gordon's been as steady as they come. But there was a couple of plays. I mean, I don't know who's Chris Paul. I don't know who's taking his identity, who's in his body. There was a couple of plays Wednesday night where Chris Paul got in the lane, and he should have scored the basketball. And the old Chris Paul, the Clipper Chris Paul, the New Orleans Chris Paul would have scored. He gets in the lane, and he's looking to throw it out to a three-point shooter. Dude, score the 2 points. He threw it out to a three-point shooter, and they were missing 28-foot shots. It's ridiculous basketball. Not necessarily that the three-pointers are ridiculous. It's the fact that people are substituting twos for threes. Like, Chris, get in the lane and score. 3 shots he made all game. That's not Chris Paul. And that has got to change. Otherwise, the Rockets would go home tonight if that doesn't change. And in Game 7, that's going to be a barn burner. I mean, I've got Philly, Toronto in a close Game 7. I've got Houston and Golden State without Kevin Durant in a close Game 7. I think Houston could win this series. If of course, obviously Kevin Durant's not there. I think this is Houston's time to shine, and they got a gift from the basketball gods for Kevin Durant just to be out a week. And so you have to take advantage of this opportunity, Michael. And if the Rockets don't take advantage of this opportunity, wow, I think that that would be incredible to me. Because what that would say is Rockets could not even beat the Warriors, the old Warriors. The 2015 Warriors. And I don't think with all the Warriors' depth that they had in 2015, they don't have that depth anymore. But at the end of the game, you're going to see the same 4 players on the court that you saw in 2015 that you'll see tonight in 2019. And if the Rockets can't beat that, then they need to do something. They need another player. They need to shake things up. But I have the Rockets winning this series because Kevin Durant is out. Rockets win this series in Game 7 on Sunday. They win tonight easily, and they win Game 7 in a close game.
You know, I've been going back and forth on this, and I was going to follow your footsteps here, pick Houston to win tonight, pick Houston to destroy them tonight. But what you said about Draymond Green, turn the tides for me, 100%. Draymond Green, he is going to be hungry tonight. He is going to want to show KD that we don't need you anymore. And they're going to be back to the old Golden State ways without KD. And they're going to go out there and they're going to absolutely thump Houston tonight. It is going to be so ugly that Chris Paul is going to fake another hamstring injury. And just it is just going to be like, I told you so. Like I told you we don't need you. You are a punk. Just take your little calf strain that you have, suck it up, and heal it heal it in the Eastern Conference. We don't want you in the Western Conference anymore. No way, no how. And Draymond's going to come out with a chip on his shoulder like his Michigan State days, and he's just going to destroy it. And it's going to be lights out. They're not going to be able to miss the shot. It's going to be ugly for Houston tonight. You swung my way for me because of what you said about Draymond, and I'm jumping on that train.
Michael, if that happens, it's a riot in Houston if they lose tonight. I'm telling you right now, they'll end up egging the cars, the players' cars. It'll be horrible. And tonight be interesting to watch. Clint Capella has almost been a non-factor in this series, but since Kevin Durant's out, they're going to play Kevin Looney more. The Warriors will, and that'll bring Clint Capella back in to this series. And Clint Capella, they're paying him like $80-90 million. He's been garbage. It's almost like Clint Capella. The game's too fast for him. But now with Kevin Looney now playing minutes instead of Durant, Clint Capella will be inserted back in this series, and Clint Capella should be a major factor tonight and in Game 7 going up against Kevin Looney.
Like we've been hyping up Game 7s all night, and there's a lot of background noise. Definitely apologize about that. But
yeah,
what was I going to say here?
All the Game 7s tonight. All the Game 7.
There's not going to be three Game 7s. There's only going to be two, because Golden State's going to win tonight in Houston. Houston's going to fire their coach. They're going to boo James Harden. James Harden's going to ship out of town. Chris Paul is going to make some more State Farm commercials and hang up his shoes. He is done after this season. After they lose tonight, like Rockets are going to go. They're going to explode tonight.
If that happens, that's amazing to watch. That's why this is must-see TV tonight. What if Chris Paul lays another egg tonight? What do you do with him? He's 33 years old. He signed a big long-term deal with a bunch of money. He's getting paid more than a bunch of great players. That still are productive and getting you 20 and 8 every night. It's going to be amazing to watch Houston offseason if they don't find a way to beat Golden State. Even if they win tonight and they lose Game 7, Houston offseason will be very interesting.
I definitely concur. If they cannot beat a wounded Golden State team, because think about this, Curry and somebody else has a sprained ankle. Curry has a dislocated finger that they popped back in Game 2, so he's still injured by that.
Klay Thompson too.
Yeah, Klay Thompson. Cousins is out for the rest of the. Actually, I saw a tweet saying that he's trying to make it back by the final. I don't even know how that's possible, but if he comes back, like, he's still out. KD's out. Like, everything's lined up for Houston to win. And with that being, like last year, everything was lined up for Houston to win. They were, quote, a hamstring away from beating the Warriors last year. And this year, they're down an ankle, or two ankles, a calf, and a quad, and they're still going to lose. So,
the past 4 years, Michael, the past 4 years has been lined up for Houston, and they haven't taken advantage of it. 3 years ago, a couple of years ago, they lost Game 6, to the Spurs without Kawhi Leonard, and James Harden keeps on, doing his disappearing acts. He kind of did one in the fourth quarter the other night, with only taking one shot, like an 8.5 minute span. So everything always lines up for Houston. And when are they going to take advantage of it? You're saying they're not going to take advantage of it tonight. I'm saying that they will take advantage of this finally and get over the hump and beat the Warriors. But wow, if what you say is correct, yeah, they're going to blow that thing up.
And let me make this clear. Like, I'm not blaming the players by any means. Like, I think they have a really good team orchestrated together. Sorry about all that background noise, but people want to talk and chit chat or whatever. But I think they have a good foundation of a team put together. But their ISO offense that they run, their 57 threes they shoot every game, like, that just doesn't work in the playoffs. It is a great regular season. Hey, Harden had the 32 game streak of 30 plus points. Awesome.
Right.
What has that got you in the playoffs? It's going to be another second round exit to Golden State Warriors losing again. It is time to clean the coaches out.
What's amazing, you're 100% right, Michael. If you ever looked at James Harden and Stephen Curry's numbers, for that matter, their regular season numbers, those two players, are better, not sometimes significantly better than their playoff numbers. In the playoffs, It slows down. You get more calls. The game. You get less calls. The game's a
Yeah.
little bit more rough. And James Harden's numbers go down in the playoffs, just like Stephen Curry's numbers go down.
Well,
Um,
I saw a crazy stat where he has taken, what was it, 47% less foul shots in the per game in the playoffs versus the regular season.
yeah,
And what was it, game one or game two when he shot the three and he kicked his little his ankle
yeah,
out trying to get the foul
right.
at the end of the game. The regular season, he would have got that call
He would have got
and
that call.
they would have won that game. Playoffs, that's not
Uh,
happening. Now that brings me to another point here. Do we have to question the officials? Like, why are you calling that in the regular season, but you're not calling that in the playoffs? Like, why is that? Like, isn't a foul in week one the same as week 16?
right.
I mean, like, so I think the NBA has to address that a little bit. Uh,
Yeah.
call it
It,
more
it's
like the playoffs all the time.
yeah, you're right. I'd rather see playoff calls in the regular season or not playoff non-calls in the regular
Yeah,
season. That's been happening in the NBA since as long as I've been watching the NBA.
yeah,
The the
same
the
here.
the refs let a lot of stuff go in the playoffs. A lot of back in the day they would let more contact go underneath in the playoffs than they would the regular season. That's been happening for a long time. Now it's extended out to the 3-point line. So the refs are letting stuff go more, you're right, than in the regular season. Um, but yeah, 3 game 7s, amazing. And then I think the Rockets win, and we'll talk
Two
about
game
this
seven.
plenty of times. But I'm no fan of the Rockets. I just hope they do America solid and beat the Warriors. But I don't see the Rockets beating I don't see the Rockets beating the Nuggets especially the Nuggets or Portland. And I definitely what you were just talking about, that ISO ball, that cannot work. There's no way they beat Toronto or Milwaukee with that offense, with
No,
ISO and
because
James
their
Harden
because
shooting.
their defense is that well. Yeah,
No
their
way.
defense is that good.
Yeah.
Um, Kind of off topic here, but let's say you are right and Houston does beat Golden State in Game 7 on Sunday night. Does the winner of the NBA championship this year have an asterisk by their name because the Warriors were not full strength?
No, absolutely not. No, the injuries happen all the time. Injuries are part of the game. I mean, in 2015, you could put an asterisk on the Golden State Warriors because Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love couldn't play, and
Right.
they played against LeBron James and his minions. I mean, they may as well throw me and you out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think Shumpert was like maybe the second best player. I mean, it was just bad for
Who?
LeBron. And LeBron took by himself took the Golden State Warriors in 2015 to 6 games. So yeah, I mean,
Like,
I would,
yeah.
I mean, if you want to even go back further, I'm an NBA historian. The 1989 Detroit Pistons beat the Los Angeles Lakers with a starting backcourt of Terry Teagle and David Rivers. It wasn't Magic Johnson and Byron Scott; they were hurt. But nobody cares about that. Nobody remembers
Right.
about that. It was Isaiah Thomas and the Detroit Pistons are 2-time champions. So injuries are part of the game. It happens, and so be it. There'll be no asterisks on this. Golden State still has a really good team, even minus Durant. Durant made them a super team. Now they're just a regular great team. There's no excuses for Golden State either. By the way, if you want to look at the flip side,
Yeah.
you got the people consider this the greatest backcourt of all time. I don't, by the way. I think they're top 5. But you have, allegedly arguably the greatest backcourt of all time. Then you've got Draymond Green, who's an all-star facilitator, who's like the jack of all trades. And then you've got Andre Iguodala, who's, yes, he's on the back end of his career to say the least, but he's a former Finals MVP, and that guy can turn the clock back in Game 6s and Game 7s. He doesn't have to be steady all season. They signed Iggy like a $33 million contract last year. So Andre Iguodala is getting paid like an all-star. So Golden State has no excuses either. They can't say, oh, Kevin Durant's out. No, you're still trotting 3 all-stars out there in a Finals MVP. There's no excuses for the Warriors either.
And you guys, you heard it there first from Marcus the Freak. Be sure to follow him on the Twitter machine. But guys, possibly 3 game 7s on Sunday afternoon or starting Sunday afternoon, ending later in the night, obviously, with the last game starting. It looks like 8 o'clock right now is what it's slated for. And the other game is still to be announced, obviously. That was the Nuggets game. That was the to be announced time. So it could be early in the morning or late afternoon. Who really knows? I think it's depending on the Houston series if it goes Game 7 and when that falls in that TV time slot here. But
Right.
if you guys missed it, Marcus and myself both have home teams winning Game 7 for sure. Marcus has Houston winning tonight big, right? You have them winning big tonight.
Yeah, I think they need to show America that they need to show America and Golden State that, hey, you're out Kevin Durant. This is our time now. We're going to take advantage of it. Because if they don't, it's riot time in Houston.
And I'm on the exact opposite side of that coin. I think Warriors win big tonight. Draymond Green's going to be pulling his antics, flexing his muscles, and carrying the team on his back. Show KD that he doesn't need him no more. Get out of town, boy. But, guys, with that being said, thank you for joining us on today's show. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you're watching us on the YouTube channel, you're on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, all the podcast forums. Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow that podcast and leave us a ranking as well. Be highly, highly appreciated. Marcus, any closing thoughts before we head out?
No, I just can't wait to watch these games this Sunday. I think there's going to be 3 Game 7s on Sunday, which is absolutely amazing. I predicted 4 Game 7s, but the sorry-ass Celtics disappeared. But I think we're going to have 3 Game 7s, and that's exactly the way I thought. We knew this second round was going to be must-see TV, and it is, because 3 Game 7s on Sunday is amazing. You think it's going to be 2 Game 7s, which is still amazing, actually.
Yeah, it's still,
have 2 Game 7s on Sunday.
Be fun to watch.
Yeah, still going to be a great day regardless of what happens tonight. So we'll look forward. We'll talk more Monday and about the Eastern and Western Conference Finals.
Let me check my time real quick here. Yeah, it's not March. It is May. So 3 Game 7s. This is March Madness in May if this happens on Sunday. It's going to be great. We'll catch you guys Monday afternoon, 2:30 Eastern time. What is that? 11:30 Pacific, 10:30 Pacific. Whatever. You know how it is. We'll catch you guys Monday. We out.